Hello, I'm Brian, and welcome to Mystery Theater Old Time Radio. Tonight we're going to be focusing on three classic sci-fi shows from the golden age of radio: Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, and Journey to the Center of the Earth. I hope you enjoy.
Presenting the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon. Last week, you remember, King Voltan received a call from one of Khan's lieutenants, telling him of the plight of Flash, Dale, and Khan, and asking for help. Dr. Zarkoff was at once dispatched with an army and some ray cannon to the rescue of our three friends. In the meantime, Dale and Khan planned to obey all orders so they might get the freedom of the palace and hoped to be able to free Flash from the clutches of Queen Azura. For a brief moment, Dale talked with Flash, who, although he didn't recognize her, pitied the beautiful girl chained to the kitchen stove and promised to ask the Queen to free her. Before he could gain Azura's consent, Saul interrupted the conference with the news that the land was being invaded by the Hawkmen. Azura called out the army and asked Flash to be commander-in-chief. This angered Saul, who wanted that distinguished place for himself. These thrilling adventures come to you as they are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Big Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors, is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Now we continue the story. Summoned by Azura, legion after legion of blue magic men fall into formation. Flash prepares to assume his new duties as commander-in-chief.
Azura, how large is your army?
I do not know exactly.
Then the first thing to be done is to review the regiment. I must know what strength of armed men I have at my disposal.
Very well. Come under this balcony, Flash. From here you will have a good view of the parade ground.
Azura, I wish to have your army...
Our army, my prince.
Our army pass in review. Will you give the order, please?
When I asked you to become commander-in-chief, I gave you full command of the armed forces.
Thank you. Saul?
Sire.
Send word for formation past this balcony.
As you command, sire.
Serving as your commander-in-chief is a pleasure, Azura, but it is also a great responsibility.
Not too great for you, my noble prince.
I shall do all in my power to prove worthy of your faith.
There goes the call to review. See, the First Legion is wheeling and starting this way.
What a splendid army. We ought to defeat these Hawkmen, whoever they are.
Here comes the finest of them all. Guard.
And those coming next? What are they?
The light magic artillery.
But what are those tremendous objects being pulled by the next legion?
Those are the combustion ray machines.
Combustion ray machines? What are they for?
Wait until you get into action. Your officers will tell you.
You're not only a queen of magic, my beautiful one, but you're also a queen of suspense. What legion is this?
The sleep gas legion.
Sleep gas. That sounds like a most formidable weapon.
And here comes the stone formation legion.
And the ones with the cloak?
The invisibility legion.
And those?
The camouflage legion.
Who are the ones with the long hair?
The animal legion.
And those men with the peculiar shields?
The transparent wall legion.
And those machines coming now?
The dissolvo gun legion.
And still they come. Legion after legion. I've never seen such an army.
Have you seen enough, sire? Only about half of our regiments have gone by.
If this is only half of the army, Tal, I pity these Hawkmen when I start the attack.
While Flash is looking over his army, Prince Zarkoff is in conference with Mar, one of the Hawkmen's officers.
We must find out if Flash and Dale and Khan are still alive before we make any rash attacks, Mar.
You are quite right, Commander Zarkoff.
Turn on your spaceograph and let us see what we can see.
Look, Commander. There's a large rock. It must be the rock which is blocking the entrance of the cave, through which Flash, Dale, and Captain Khan disappeared.
We cannot see beyond it. There is only one thing to be done. Blast it out of our way.
Shall I order the battery of ray cannon into position?
At once.
Bring the battery of ray cannon into position. Aim for the rock.
I hope we are not too late to save them.
Oh, I hope not, too. Captain Conn is too good an officer and friend to lose.
Ready with the range.
They have found the range, Commander.
You may fire.
Fire! Look, the rock is splitting.
That's got it. The rock is destroyed. Come, Ma. Let us try the spacograph again.
Nothing but haze. The country is well named, Blue Magic Land.
Spoiled by that witch queen. Mar, there is only one thing left now.
And what is that, Commander?
Call for a volunteer to go into the territory of the Blue Magic Men and find out the information we wish.
Of course. A spy. Commander, I myself will go.
No, we cannot spare you, Mar. Send one of the privates.
No, Commander. I will not ask any of my men to do what I would not do myself.
You are a brave man and a fine officer. I shall speak to Down about promoting you when I return to his palace.
Thank you, Commander.
Azura has thrown up a protective and impenetrable fog against our spacograph. But we may be able to beat her yet.
And how do you propose to do that, Commander?
It is simple. Mar, you will disguise yourself as a peddler and gain entrance to the Queen's palace.
Well, how?
Say that you wish to enter her service. Inside your peddler's pack, you will have a portable space phone.
Oh, Commander, you have my utmost admiration. It is the plan of a genius, a super strategist.
When you have found out the information we seek, establish contact with me here, and I shall proceed on your report.
Very good, Commander. When shall I start on my mission?
At once.
Commander, I shall give you the information or my life.
Next day, Tal is called to the gates of Azura's palace to question a peddler who has asked admittance.
Who are you?
I am a poor peddler, footsore, weary, and hungry. I seek shelter, O noble sire.
I am Tal, Chief Magician to Her Majesty, Queen Azura.
I bow before you, great Tal. O mighty wizard, let me enter the service of the Queen. You will find in me a zealous neophyte.
You are a peddler. Why are you so anxious to change your profession?
I can hardly make a living. Soon I shall have to turn beggar. Let me devote my life to being of some use to the Queen.
You might be of use. What is your name?
Why,
Come.
if you accept me into your household and give me a new life, let me take on a new name also. Let my name die with my past.
Very well. I will open the gate.
Bless you, mighty Tal. Bless you.
Now, come this way. I will take you to the kitchen and give you food.
Oh, yes.
You bring some soup to this man.
At once, oh mighty wizard.
Sit down, stranger. Let me take your pack.
No.
Well, you needn't take my head off. I wasn't going to steal it. I only intended to have it put in your quarters.
I am grateful, mighty Tal. But all I own is in this bundle, and I should feel lost without it. Here is the... look out! Look! Don't spill that soup. That would be wasteful when I am so hungry.
Yes, you clumsy fool. There must be no waste of the food around here. You know what happened to the girl when she dropped her tray in front of the Queen?
I ask pardon, O mighty Tal. It was my anxiety to please that caused my hands to tremble.
See that it does not happen again, slave. Eat your fill, stranger, while I go to find out where Her Majesty wishes me to put you.
March. Someone may hear you. Oh, you are safe, Captain Conn. Thanks be to Tal.
Yes. What are you doing here? How did you get here? Where are the rest of our men?
One question at a time, Captain. I was sent here by Prince Zarkoff to find out what happened to you and Flash and Dale. Where are the other two?
Dale is at the other end of the kitchen, chained to the stove. And Flash...
He is not...
No, he isn't dead.
Oh.
But drugged. He doesn't recognize either Dale or me. Azura has cast a spell over him. Oh, if I were only free.
Don't curse your fate, Captain Conn. I'm here to help bring aid.
How can you? Once you get in here, they never let you out.
I don't need to get out in order to bring aid.
What do you mean?
In this bundle I have a portable space phone. Over it, I'm going to report to Zarkoff everything I find out.
Then hurry and send a message. Tell him we are alive and that he must come quickly. They seem to be mobilizing the army for an attack.
Well, where can I go to send it? Tall may come back any minute.
Let us go where Dale is. She can watch for Tow's return. We can put the ground wire of the space phone outside the grilled window, and there will be less interference. Come along.
Where are you two going?
The peddler feels faint in this heat. I am helping him to that window yonder where he may get a breath of air.
All right. Go ahead. Come on, you slaves. Get to work.
That was a close call, Captain.
Yes. We must work fast. Dale,
Yes, Tom? What is it? Oh,
this is Captain Marr. He has been sent by Prince Zarkoff to find out about us.
oh, Captain Marr, I'm so glad you've come. Are you going to get us out of here?
I hope so, Princess. But first I must report to Zarkoff by space phone.
Dale, go over there as far as your chain will let you. Watch for Tal or the guard. I will watch from here while Marr sets up his machine.
At once. The coast is clear. Hurry.
Captain Marr calling Prince Zarkoff. Captain Marr calling Prince Zarkoff. Captain Marr calling Prince Zarkoff. Captain Marr calling Prince Zarkoff.
At the same time, Prince Zarkoff, in the far-off kingdom of the Hawkmen, is trying to establish a space phone connection.
Zarkoff calling Captain Marr. Zarkoff calling Captain Marr.
No answer, Prince Zarkoff.
No answer. He should have arrived, and we should have received a report by now.
The blue magic men are marching to attack us, Prince Zarkoff. Sentry has just sighted them.
Bring me my distance glasses.
Here, Prince Zarkoff.
Ah, I see them. And there's Flash on horseback. They must have tied him on and are using him to bait us into attacking them. Very well, we shall call their bluff. Colonel, order the first company of lancers to charge.
The first Lancers, the greatest flyers in the Hawkmen army, circle to a dizzy height and at a signal from their leader, fold their wings and dive for Azura's army. Down at the head of the armed blue magic men, Flash and Azura watch the diving Hawkmen.
Here come the Hawkmen, my prince.
I see them, Azura. I'm just wondering which battery I shall train on them.
I suggest you use the guns of the combustion ray machine.
What will happen if I do?
Order them used and see.
Very well. Ho, men! Swing the combustion ray guns into... What is the secret of the great combustion ray machine? Will the gallant Hawkmen under Professor Zarkoff be able to overcome it and rescue Flash Gordon and Dale Arden? In next Sunday's Comic Weekly, which is a part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper, you will find a full-colored picture of the combustion ray machine. Also a thrilling action picture of the Hawkmen in battle formation. See if you can guess how the combustion ray machine works and what will happen to the Hawkmen. And besides Flash Gordon, you'll find all your old friends waiting to entertain you in the Comic Weekly. Full-color pictures of the merriest, funny men and bravest adventurers ever assembled in all picture magazines. Think of it, bringing up Father, the Little King, Polly and her pals, the Katzenjammer Kids, Jungle Jim, Toots and Casper, Barney Google, good old Skippy, Mickey Mouse, and many, many others. Yes, they'll all be there with new pranks and more thrilling adventures to entertain you. For the Comic Weekly is the world's biggest and best pictorial supplement of fun and adventure. So once more we suggest you get the big Comic Weekly with your Hearst newspaper next Sunday. Study the Flash Gordon pictures and see if you can guess what will happen when Professor Zarkoff and his gallant Hawkmen come face to face with the combustion ray machine. Be sure to listen for the answer next week at this time when we will present another chapter in the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon.
25th century.
Buck Rogers is back on the air. Buck and Wilma and all their fascinating friends and mysterious enemies in the super-scientific 25th century. This program is brought to you by the makers of Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle, those delicious frozen confections on a stick. Now I have a swell surprise for you. The famous winner of the Typical American Boy contest has now become Popsicle Pete. And here's a message from him.
Hello, everybody. I sure am glad to meet you. And boy, am I glad I was picked to be the typical American boy. Because now I'm Popsicle Pete. I always wanted to be on the radio, and now I have a chance to tell you about some wonderful presents you can get, free. Gee, you ought to see them. Hundreds of them. You get them just for saving bags from nifty Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle. Some gifts, even better than Christmas. You can get a wristwatch, a movie camera, table tennis, a wallet, a doll. Gee, lots of gifts. Just save the bags from Popsicle, Creamsicle, and Fudgicle on a handy stick. Boy, did they taste good.
Wholesome, too, and nourishing. Made fresh every day of the finest ingredients. The biggest 5 cents worth anywhere.
And say, kids, get the free illustrated Popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. A free coupon comes with it, worth 10 bags.
And now for Buck Rogers and his thrilling adventures 500 years in the future. As you probably know, Buck was born right here in our own times, in this 20th century. And the story of how he got started on his amazing adventures so far in the future is mighty interesting. But instead of telling you about it, let's turn the dial that'll project us ahead in time and find out all about it that way. Now, the capital of 25th century America is Niagara. And there it is that Dr. Hewer, the great scientist, has his marvelous laboratory. In one room of it, he's working on a strange-looking device that sends a peculiar greenish light down onto a human figure lying on a table before him. Shall we join him there? Okay, then, here we go. 500 years into the future.
The ray is putting you to sleep. To sleep. Relax and sleep. 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 Good. The ray's had its effect. Now I can go ahead. Yes, come in. Oh, hello, Wilma.
Hello, Dr. Hewer. My, why don't you have more light in here? Coming in from outside, I can hardly see a thing in this spooky greenish glow.
Part of a little experiment I'm conducting.
Oh.
But tell me, have you seen anything of Black Barney here in Niagara?
Why, no. Hasn't given up his job of Prime Minister on Mars, has he?
Oh, no. But one of his Martian rocket ship factories has worked out a new control device for me. I rather hoped he'd get here with it today.
Oh.
Meantime, I've made ready for a final test of this little invention here. Like to stay and see it?
I'd love to, Doctor, and you know it, but I just dropped in to find out if you'd seen any sign. Oh.
What? What's the matter?
Doctor, what's happened to him?
Eh?
Is he all right? Doctor!
I see.
What's happened to him? Why is he lying here on the table?
Don't worry, Wilma.
Don't worry. Doctor, what are you...
He has offered to be the subject of my test. That's all.
But then, why is he...
Simply lying here, comfortably asleep, under the influence of my electro-hypnotic ray.
Oh, I was afraid something had happened to him.
Not a thing. Surely you don't think for a minute that I'd do anything
No, of course not. But the electro-hypnotic ray... Are you sure this experiment won't hurt him in any way?
Oh, absolutely sure.
Well, you can't blame me for being a little shocked for a minute. But what's that thing up near his head that looks like a miniature power plant with a loudspeaker on top of it?
That, Wilma, is my latest scientific achievement. My newly perfected electro-hypno-mentalophone.
Your what?
Well, you remember the mentaloscope, don't you?
Oh, sure. When you put a person under the mentaloscope, all his memories showed up on a sort of moving picture screen.
That's right. And this is an adaptation of it.
Oh.
With this, the electro-hypno-mentalophone, the memories of the subject will come to us verbally, through the loudspeaker here. Provided, of course, that my calculations have been correct.
Sort of read a person's mind aloud, you mean?
Yes, that's it exactly.
Where do you ever get ideas for things like this, Dr. Hewer? Surely people don't just barge in and ask you to work them out.
Hardly. The scientific research and experimentation that led up to the development of this machine was started way back in the 20th century.
Why, I always thought that the people back in the 20th century weren't much better than savages in what they knew about scientific things.
Oh, not at all, Wilma. Oh, we owe a great deal to the scientists of those days. Were it not for the groundwork laid by men like Einstein, Fitzgerald, Compton, Millikan, and the rest, we'd be without a great many of the things we have today.
They never really got anywhere with rocket ship development or anything like that, though, did they?
Well, successful rocket flight depends on two things that have been brought into existence only recently.
One of them must be a neutron.
Yes, a neutron. The material that defies gravity and makes it possible to lift a big spaceship off the Earth and away from its terrific gravitational pull without too much waste of power.
And what's the other?
Impervium. The only metal capable of withstanding the high temperature of rocket blasts for any length of time. But now, let's go ahead with this experiment.
Yes, let's. And you can tell me how this apparatus works as we go along, just what it does to them.
Well, not very much to tell you about the apparatus itself, Wilma, except that here, in this little pad under his head, is an extremely sensitive and high-frequency response piezoelectric oscillator of quite complicated design.
Yes, I guess so.
Yes. And I've succeeded in tuning it to receive the minute electronic impulses that emanate from his brain.
Yeah.
Through the medium of a super-radiating protonoformer.
Oh, yes, Oh, what?
In other words, we're able to obtain sufficient amplification of the impulse output to register audibly through a process of thermionic note magnification. That's all there is to it.
I think I'll understand it better when I see this thing work.
I shall be very much disappointed if it doesn't.
Oh, don't you worry about that, Doctor. Your inventions always work.
I have been rather lucky in most of my experiments, haven't I?
Lucky.
Well, now let's proceed with this one.
All right. Anything I can do to help?
No, thanks. First of all, we'll have to switch in the electronoformer.
Gives the electronoformer a sort of eerie sound.
Yes. And now, when I switch on this microphone and speak to him, my words will be registered directly on his brain. Not through his ears, you understand, but directly on his brain.
Uh-huh.
And if we're successful, we'll receive his subconscious response through the loudspeaker.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Now, young man, what is your name? I said, what is your name?
Buck Rogers.
Wilma, it works.
But, Doctor...
My invention's a success.
But, Doctor, what happened?
It works even better than I thought it would.
He didn't move his lips, though. And how could we hear him talk if he didn't move his lips?
It read his mind aloud, Wilma. It read his mind aloud.
It sounded like his real voice, though.
Well, of course. Because he thinks of speech in the same manner that he utters it.
Great day, it doesn't seem possible. Ask him some more questions.
Yes, by all means. Listen. Buck, you were born back in the 20th century, were you not?
Yes, sir. But this is the 25th century.
You see, Wilma, his memory's preserved intact.
May I ask him a question?
Surely, go ahead. Go ahead.
Buck, how did you happen to come to the 25th century?
One day in the year 1919, I was in the lower workings of an abandoned mine near the city of Pittsburgh.
Yes?
All of a sudden, the supports that held up the walls and ceiling gave way and the whole thing caved in on me.
Yes?
Some kind of peculiar gas was released. It put me to sleep. It kept me in a state of suspended animation for 500 years. Then the ground shifted and let in fresh air, and I woke up.
Well, how did you know you were in suspended animation for 500 years?
Instead of the year 1919, it was the year 24-something. To be exact, it was 24...
How did you know what year it was?
I was told about it by Lieutenant Wilma Deering, a beautiful girl soldier I met when I first did it.
Oh, then you knew Wilma Deering.
Oh, I certainly do. She's the finest and bravest girl who ever lived. Why, Wilma...
Buck Rogers?
Yes?
Did you find anything new and different when you first came into the 25th century?
Oh, a great deal, thanks to Dr. Hewer.
Dr. Hewer?
The greatest scientist who ever lived.
What's this?
Nowhere in the universe is there a scientist who's done so much good for humanity or done anything that can even
Wait. Wait a minute, Buck.
Yes?
Just forget Dr. Hewer and go on with what you were saying.
But he's the man who invented the first rocket ship that took us to the moon. And it was that trip that proved the practicability of interplanetary flight.
Practicability of interplanetary flight? Nothing wrong with this machine, Doctor.
Where else have you gone by rocket ship, Buck?
First to Mars, where we helped King Analdo put down an invasion by the Martian Tiger Men.
Yes?
Then to Saturn and the Saturnian moons, Venus, Jupiter, and even far-off Pluto.
Which planet did you find most interesting?
Well, that's hard to say. Jupiter has the biggest field for exploration simply because it's so much larger than the rest of the planets.
Very true. Do you expect to do any more rocketing around through outer space?
Well, there's nothing else I'd rather do, sir.
Well, Wilma, do you like my little contraption?
Oh, it's wonderful, Doctor. I told you it would work.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to ask Buck before I turn off this green ray?
Let's wake him up and see if he remembers anything that happened during the experiment.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. Come on, Buck. Wake up.
Huh?
I say, wake up. You've been asleep.
Sleep?
Uh-huh.
Oh, hello, Wilma.
Hello.
Hey, where'd you come from? What are you doing here?
I've just been let in on the test of Dr. Hewer's
Electro-hypno-mentalophone.
Yeah.
Oh, and doggone it. Instead of helping you with your test, I fell asleep. Say, I'm awfully sorry, Doctor.
Sorry?
Oh, yes, sir. I was going to help
Buck,
you.
I put you to sleep with this machine.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Well, I guess that's one on me, then. How did it work?
Even better than I expected.
Oh, good.
Oh, it was marvelous, Buck. You told us your whole life history without even opening your mouth.
Hey, now, wait a minute.
It's all right, Buck. You didn't say a single thing you shouldn't have.
Oh, thank goodness for that. Let's put Wilma under it.
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, you have to do something for excitement around here. Come on, Wilma.
Oh, you're never satisfied unless there's something exciting going on, are you, Buck?
Oh, it's not as bad as all that, Doctor, but things have been sort of slow around here lately. And
wait until we start making tests of the new type of gyrocosmic relativator I've just devised.
A new one?
Isn't that the equipment on a rocket ship that makes it possible to take off without much loss of time for pickup?
That's right. And without the usual physical effects of too quick acceleration. It removes from your ship the normal effects of weight and inertia and momentum and the like.
Well, how have you improved the relativator, Doctor?
Buck, if this new instrument does what I hope it will, there'll be practically no limit to the speed of a rocket ship immediately upon taking off.
Good night. Imagine getting into the control cabin, opening the power lever, and going a couple of 1,000 miles an hour just like that.
That's exactly what we'll be able to do, Wilma.
Boy, that hardly seems possible, does it? But when can we test it out, Doctor? Have you already got it installed on a rocket ship?
No, Buck. As a matter of fact, I don't even have it yet.
Huh?
Oh, it's been made up all right. The one we'll use for the test, but it isn't right here yet.
I don't understand, Doctor.
Well, yes, sir. Can't we get it here? The sooner we can get it and start trying it out, the sooner we can break the monotony of just sitting around here doing...
Wait, Buck. Listen.
Yes, Doctor. I hear it, too.
Well, yeah.
Hear it?
Yes, sir. But what under the sun is it?
Look here, out of the window.
Look, here's Wilma. And it's coming right down this way. Wilma!
Oh!
Say, Buck's wish for excitement certainly came true in a hurry. Great day. I wonder what that was. And I certainly hope he and Wilma and Dr. Hewer are all right. What do you say, Pete?
Well, I know what would make me feel all right. A great big frozen fudgicle. Jiminy, can you imagine anything better than that fresh, creamy chocolate fudge frozen ice cold on a stick?
Fellas and girls, what's the best, purest, biggest nickel's worth you can get? Right, a fudgicle. Delicious and full of healthful energy. Made only from pure milk products. Swell to eat and easy to digest. And don't forget to save the bags for those wonderful free prizes. Exciting gifts like cameras, dolls, sweatshirts, gorgeous jewelry, and lots of other things.
Now listen, kids. Be sure to get your free popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. Don't take no for an answer.
We present Bernard Horsfall as Harry Lawson and Geoffrey Banks as Professor von Hardwick in A Journey to the Center of the Earth, the novel by Jules Verne, adapted for radio in 8 parts by Howard Jones. Part 2, The Shadow of Scapari. I suppose that even now there are some who will not credit that we undertook that most terrifying of all journeys, a journey to the center of the earth. But let me remind you who I am. My name is Harry Lawson.
At the time I am speaking of, I was studying in Hamburg under my eccentric uncle, the celebrated Professor von Hardwick. One day, my uncle brought home a rare old book, and as I was examining it, there fluttered from its leaves a piece of parchment covered with runic characters. This proved to be a message in cipher written by Arne Saknussemm, a famous Icelandic alchemist of the 16th century. In an unhappy moment, I hit upon the key to the cipher, and so we learned how more than 300 years before, Saknussemm had descended into the crater of the extinct volcano in Iceland called Snæfell, and thus penetrated to the center of the earth. My impetuous uncle decided that he and I must make the same journey, and so we departed for Iceland and there engaged faithful Hans Bjelke as our guide. With 3 porters to carry our baggage, Hans led the way up the slopes of Snæfell. But we were still some distance from the summit when a great cloud of pumice, sand, and dust threatened to engulf us.
It is impossible. We cannot stop here. Make haste, master. We are coming, Hans. Forward, Harry. Forward.
I have never felt such misery, fatigue, and exhaustion in my life. At last, when I thought myself at my last gasp, about 11 at night, we reached the summit of Mount Snæfell. We descended a little into the shelter of the crater, and lying there on a bed of granite, I fell asleep. In the morning, we climbed up to look at the panorama beneath us. My uncle was enraptured.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Look yonder, over the sea. That is Greenland.
Greenland? Can we see so far?
We are 5,000 feet up. On the summit of the great, the transcendent Snæfell. And here are its 2 peaks, north and south. Hans will tell you the name of the peak we are standing on.
The name of this peak is Scapari.
Scapari, Harry. Do you hear? Do you remember what the great Arne Saknussemm wrote of the peak Scapari?
Yes, I remember.
A splendid crater, my boy. Half a mile across at least.
A great cannon, that's what it is, Uncle. And to descend inside a cannon when perhaps it is loaded and will go off at the slightest shock is the act of madness.
Come while we're wasting time. Forward, Hans. Forward!
Hans led the way down the interior of the cone in a zigzag fashion. Some parts consisted of interior glaciers, which he tested with his long iron pole. Some parts were so doubtful and dangerous that we had to be tied together. By midday, we had completed this stage of our journey. I looked up and saw only the upper orifice of the cone, like a circular frame to a very small portion of the sky, a portion that seemed to me singularly beautiful. Should I ever again gaze on that lovely sunlit sky? The bottom of the crater consisted of 3 separate shafts gaping in our path. The professor ran from one to the other like a delighted schoolboy, gesticulating wildly and uttering disjointed phrases in all sorts of languages. Presently, I heard him calling excitedly.
Harry, come here, come quickly. Do not order.
I'm coming. What is it, Uncle?
Raise your eyes. Now, what do you see on the wall?
It looks like carving. Runic characters?
And what do the runic characters spell out, my boy?
A-R-N. Saknussemm.
Arne Saknussemm. The great man's name carved in the living rock. Do you begin to have faith? Well, do you?
I could not answer a single word. The evidence was unanswerable. Overwhelming. I went back to my seat, covered my face with my hands, and dreamed. My beloved home and my beloved cousin Gretchen. When I raised my head, there remained at the bottom of the crater only myself, my uncle, and Hans. The Icelandic porters had been dismissed. How heartily did I wish myself with them. We made ourselves as comfortable as possible for the night. In the morning, a gray, heavy sky hung like a funeral pall over the summit of the cone, and my uncle was walking about like a wild beast in a cage. He called me to his side.
Harry, do you remember the words on our precious parchment? The words of Arne Saknussemm? He wrote, "Descend into the crater of Jökull of Snæfell, which the shade of Scapari's caresses, before the calends of July, audacious traveler, and you will reach the center of the earth. I did it. Arne Saknesen. Now, observe. There are 3 shafts, or paths, open before us. One, and only one, is the right road.
And you shall know it when the shadow of Scapari falls on it before the 1st of July.
Precisely. If there's no sunshine up above, Scapari cannot cast the shadow. And today's date, let me remind you, is the 25th of June.
So that if it stays cloudy for the next 6 days, we shall have to put off our journey of discovery for a whole year.
Yes. It is enough to drive a man out of his senses.
Never had my uncle's eyes appeared so fierce, his mouth so hard and firm. On the 26th, to my delight, there was no change for the better. A mixture of rain and snow fell during the whole day. The next day, and the next, and the next were overcast. My uncle was almost frantic. But on the last day of the month, with a sudden change of wind and a new moon, there came a change of weather. The sun poured its beaming rays to the very bottom of the crater. At 12 o'clock exactly, when the sun had attained its highest altitude, the shadow fell upon the edge of the central shaft.
Here it is. Here it is. There can be no mistake. This is our road. Now, forward, my friends, to the center of the earth. Forward, Hans. Come, Harry, come.
Our real journey had now begun. I peered over the abyss into which we were about to plunge. The sides were almost as perpendicular as those of a well. It was a sort of wild and savage staircase, without banister or fence.
One moment. There's the baggage which we must carry on our backs. Hans, Master, you will take charge of the tools and some of the provisions. You, Harry, take another third of the provisions and our weapons. I will look after the rest of the food and our instruments.
That leaves our spare clothes and this mass of cord and ladders. Who is going to carry them?
I have thought of that. Hans, have you bundled them securely? Yes, they are all secure. Good. Pitch them over the side, down into the abyss. Very good, Master. See, there you go. Now, it is our turn. I shall loop a rope over any suitable block of lava, and we shall go down hand over hand. You first, Hans. I will follow. Harry, you bring up the rear. As you join us, pull one end of the rope, and it will towards your feet. Come now. Forward, Hans. Forward.
So we went down. Down, down, down. We started at 1 o'clock. And at 11 o'clock at night, I calculated we had descended 5,600 feet. More than a mile. Hans called suddenly.
Hold! Hold! We can go no further. What is it, Hans? We are at the bottom of the well, I think. There is a sort of tunnel. Here to our right. Ah, yes, yes. Well, we will see about this tomorrow. Time now to eat and sleep.
We all slept soundly. Our breakfast consisted of biscuit and meat washed down with water flavored with Schiedam. When we had finished, my uncle busied himself with the log of our travels.
Monday, July 1st. Chronometer 8 hours, 17 minutes. Morning. Barometer reading 29. Thermometer 43 degrees Fahrenheit. Direction east-southeast. Your barometer shows that we are just about on sea level. We have not penetrated 1 inch into the earth. Now, we must have light. I will put the Runkoff coil on my neck. So, put the wire into the worm of the lantern, and switch on the electricity. Wonderful. As bright as day. Forward, my friend. Forward.
So we moved onward in the same order. For hour after hour we marched, and sometimes slithered down a steep slope in a southeasterly direction. My uncle was in a cheerful mood.
Cheer up, my boy. We are making satisfactory progress, are we not? Why do you look so thoughtful?
I'm thinking of our water supplies. Our gourds are half empty. You felt sure we should strike some subterranean springs, but so far there's no sign of one.
Oh, set your mind at rest. I answer for it that we shall find plenty of water once we have got through this crust of lava. Can you expect springs to force their way through these solid stone walls? Yes, we shall find water, Harry. More than we shall ever want.
The next day, Tuesday, 2nd of July, we resumed our march at 6 in the morning. At precisely 17 minutes past 12, Hans stopped. We were in the center of 4 cross paths. somber and narrow tunnels. Which were we to take?
1, 2, 3, 4 tunnels. Very well. We will take that one, which lies furthest to the east. Forward, Hans.
All that day we marched, and for half the day following, I became convinced that our path was ascending and not descending. And it seemed to me that the walls of the tunnel proved this. They were not lava, but rocks of the transition, as geologists say, the period of Silurian stone, containing fossils. I picked up a fossil shell and showed it to my uncle.
The shell of a crustaceous animal of the extinct order of the trilobites.
Yes, uncle. And what conclusion do you draw from it?
I know, my dear boy, what you have in mind. Possibly I was mistaken in choosing the eastern tunnel. But that we shall not know until we reach the end of this gallery.
You had to make a quick decision, that I realize. If only we had not to fear the greatest of all dangers.
And what is that?
Lack of water.
Well, my dear Harry, it cannot be helped. We must put ourselves strictly on rations. Now let us march on in good heart. Come, Harry.
In truth, we were compelled to ration our water. Our supplies would certainly not last more than 3 days, and we could not expect to strike water in the transition rocks through which we were now passing. I had read of the horrors of thirst, and I knew that unless we soon struck a spring, our adventures and our lives would speedily end. But it was utterly useless to discuss the matter with my uncle. During the whole of the next day, we marched on through this interminable gallery, arch after arch, tunnel after tunnel. We marched without exchanging a word. My uncle was determined to march on, whatever the risk. He must, I think, have been hoping for one of two possibilities. Either that we should come upon a vertical shaft that would lead us to water-bearing rocks, or that insurmountable obstacles would compel us to go back. On Friday, after a night when I began to suffer the gnawing agony of thirst, we rose and once more followed the turnings and windings, the ascents and descents of this interminable gallery. After about 10 hours of marching, I noticed that the reflection of our lamps on the walls of the tunnel was greatly diminished. A little later, when we came to a very narrow part of the tunnel, I chanced to lean my hand against the wall. It was quite black. We were in a coal mine.
Yes, a coal mine without miners. I'm certain that this gallery was never cut by the hand of man. But whether it was the work of nature or not matters little to us. It is supper time. Come, let us eat.
I can't eat. All I want is water.
How much have you left?
None. My gourd is empty.
And so I fear is mine. Hans, how much water? I have a little. There is up to here. Not quite half full. Very well. Now let us eat and rest.
Hans busied himself in preparing food, but I could not eat. All I cared about were the few drops of water which fell to my share. Having finished their supper, my companions stretched themselves on their rugs and forgot their sufferings in sleep. I lay, counting the hours until morning. The next day, Saturday, we started forward again at 6 o'clock. On and on we marched through the coal mine. The road continued to advance on the level, and my uncle could scarcely conceal his impatience and dissatisfaction. The darkness, dense and opaque, a few yards ahead and in the rear, made it impossible to estimate the length of the gallery. For myself, I began to believe that it was well nigh interminable and would go on in the same manner for months.
Halt! Halt! It is not time to halt. March on, Hans! Oh, we cannot march more. There is no way. What is this you say? We cannot march forward, master. There is no way to right or left. There is no way up or down. See? There is only this great wall. A solid wall. Well, so much the better. At least I know what they are about. We are certainly not on the road taken by Stocknessel. All we have to do is to go back. Let us have one night's good rest, and before 3 days are over, I promise we shall have reached the point where the galleries divided.
If our strength lasts as long?
And why shouldn't our strength last that long?
Because this time tomorrow there will not be one drop of water amongst us. It will all be gone.
And your carriage with it.
What could I say? I turned over on my side, and from sheer exhaustion fell into a heavy and troubled sleep. I dreamt of water. Water. And when I awoke, I would have bartered a diamond mine for a glass of pure spring water. In the morning, we started our return journey at a very early hour. There was no time for delay. I estimated that it would take us 5 days to reach the spot where the galleries divided. I cannot describe all the sufferings we endured on our journey. My uncle bore them like a man who has been in the wrong. That is, with concentrated and suppressed anger. Hans, with all the resignation of his gentle character. And I confess I did nothing but complain and despair. As I expected, our water gave out during the first day of the return march. We were reduced to our supply of Schiedam. But this horrible, nay, I will say, this infernal liquor burnt my throat, and I could not even bear the sight of it. I found the temperature stifling. I felt almost paralyzed with fatigue. More than once I thought I was about to fall unconscious to the ground. The worthy Icelander and my uncle did their best to revive and comfort me. I could see, however, that my uncle was battling with his own extreme fatigue and thirst. A time came when I ceased to recollect anything clearly. When all was one awful, hideous, fantastic dream. At last, on Tuesday, 18th of July, after crawling on our hands and knees for many hours, more dead than alive, we reached the junction of the galleries. I lay there like a log. Something or somebody told me that it was 10 in the morning. Hans and my uncle, leaning against the wall, tried to nibble at some pieces of biscuit. I fell into a sort of swoon. And presently, I felt my uncle lift me tenderly in his arms.
Harry. Harry. Oh, my poor boy.
I could not speak. But I was moved by his words, being unused to womanly weakness in him. I caught his trembling hands in mine and pressed them, and I saw his eyes were misted with tears. He took the gourd which was slung at his side, and to my bewilderment, he pressed it to my lips.
Drink, my boy. Drink. Drink.
Had I heard aright? Or was my uncle mad? Almost before I could think, a mouthful of water cooled my parched lips and throat. One mouthful. But I believed it saved my life. My heart was too full to speak, but I thanked my uncle by pressing his hand.
Yes, Harry, a mouthful of water. The last. The very last. I have treasured it at the bottom of my gourd. 20 times, 100 times I have resisted the urge to drink it.
My dear uncle.
I knew that when we reached here you would fall half dead. Indeed you did. That's why I saved this last drop of water for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Uncle.
That's better, eh? It has revived you. Nobly.
Uncle, there's no doubt what we must do. Our journey has ended. Let us get back to the surface, to Snæfell. May heaven give us strength, and we may once more see the light of day.
Go back.
Go back? Yes, and without delay.
So, my dear Harry, these few drops of water are not enough to restore your energy and courage.
Courage?
You're as downcast as ever. Still you give way to despair. But I will not give up, just as we are on the verge of success. Never shall it be said that Professor von Hartwig turned back.
Then we must make up our minds to die.
No. No, Harry, my boy. Go. Leave me. I am very far from desiring your death. Leave me, I say, and take Hans with you. I will go on alone. Alone? Yes. I have undertaken this dangerous adventure. I will see it through to the end, or I will never return to the surface of Mother Earth. Go, Harry! I tell you once more, go!
My uncle's voice was now harsh and menacing. He had become terribly excited. Meanwhile, our guide looked on with profound calmness and indifference, although he must have known perfectly well what was going on between us. It occurred to me that Hans and I might persuade the professor to turn back. If the worst came to the worst, we would compel him to return to the surface. After a time, I quietly approached Hans. Hans, listen. There is the road back, the road to Sneffels, to life and freedom. We must persuade the professor.
The professor says no.
But we are wiser than he is, Hans.
The professor says no. We do not go back. He is master.
The master? He is not the master of our lives. We will drag him with us if we must. Do you hear me? Do you understand what I say?
My good Harry, be calm. You will get no satisfaction from my devoted Hans. This wretched lack of water is the sole obstacle to our success. It is possible we shall be luckier in the western tunnel.
Luckier?
No, listen to me. While you lay senseless, I reconnoitered the other gallery. It goes directly downwards, and in a few hours will take us to the old granite formation in which we shall certainly find water. Now, this is my proposition. When Christopher Columbus asked his crew for 3 days to discover the land of promise, they agreed. And the new world was discovered. Now I, the Christopher Columbus of this underworld, I ask of you 1 more day. If after a day I have not found water, I swear I will give up my mighty enterprise and return to the Earth's surface.
Very well. If we don't discover water soon, we are doomed. So let's push ahead.
It is agreed. Forward, Hans. Forward.
We now resumed our journey into the western gallery. On and on and on. Towards 6 o'clock, I realized we were marching through granite. 8 o'clock. Still no sign of water. At last I could go no further, and I fell with a despairing cry.
Oh, my poor boy. Oh, it's over.
The last thing I saw was my uncle's face, distorted with pain and sorrow. When I opened my eyes again, I saw my companions lying motionless in their huge traveling rugs. Were they asleep or dead? I seemed to hear my uncle's last word.
All is over. All is over.
Presently, I heard a slight noise. Footsteps. I thought I saw Hans leaving us, lamp in hand. I thought, Hans is leaving us. And I cried, Hans! Hans, if you're a man, come back! Silence. During a long, weary hour, I believe I was half mad. Again, footsteps. Closer. Closer. I saw an uncertain light. I saw Hans.
Martha, wake up. Wake up. What is it, Hans? Martha! Where, Hans? Below, Master. Let us go, yeah?
In the next hour, we advanced 1,000 yards and descended 2,000 feet. Then I heard a sound, running as it were through the rock, like a distant waterfall. I passed my hand over the wall, hoping to find a trace of moisture. Alas, in vain. Then Hans took up the lamp and moved slowly, pressing his ear to the wall. I saw that he was searching for the spot where the torrent's roar was loudest. Then he picked up a crowbar and attacked the rock. At the end of what seemed an age, Hans had made a hole 2 feet into the rock. He had been at work an hour, and I was wild with impatience. I am sure my uncle was thinking of more violent measures. He had, in fact, just grabbed hold of our other crowbar when...
Water, master. Here is much water. No, do not stop. Hands, they are cold. The water. It's falling!
That was part 2 of A Journey to the Center of the Earth, adapted by Howard Jones from a novel by Jules Verne. The cast was as follows. Harry Lawson was played by Bernard Horsfall, Professor von Hartwig by Geoffrey Banks, and Hans Bielke by John Daglish. It was produced in the north of England by Trevor Hill. Next Thursday at 5:25 in Storytime, you'll be able to hear the 3rd installment of A Journey to the Center of the Earth, and this is called Lost.